welcome to this joint press conference by President of the European Commission, Jean-Claude JUNCKER, the Prime Minister of New Zealand, Ms. Jacinda Ardern. Our Commissioner for Agriculture, Phil Hogan, is joining us. President Juncker, you have the floor.
Yeah, good to see you, Madam Prime Minister. Ladies and gentlemen, you had a very fruitful meeting this morning in a friendly, positive, constructive, future-oriented way. And we were discussing the general level, general quality of our relations between New Zealand and the European Union. Our relations are excellent. We are swimming in the same future-oriented channel. We are like-minded, not obedient, not slaves, but sharing the same views when it comes to international questions. We were discussing, that's the reason why I asked the Commissioner for Agriculture to join this press conference, our future trade relations. I am of the opinion, shared, if I can say so, by the Prime Minister, that we should do everything possible to conclude a trade agreement between New Zealand and the European Union in the course of this year. I would like to conclude this deal before the end of the mandate of my Commission. I'm convinced, given the good spirit which did impact our discussions of today, that this is possible. New Zealand is far on the map, but close to our hearts. And I would like to tell the New Zealanders that this is something I'm not saying every time. But I do think, having never been in New Zealand, that we have to put into place a win-win game, which is, by the way, not a game, but a strategy. There is nothing between New Zealand and the European Union which could pose problems. Although issues we have to discuss are very difficult and demanding. Our trade relations are developing in the best way possible. We have more or less the same ideas on the reform of the WTO, and we were discussing climate change, not only in the margin, but this is a common goal of the European Union and of New Zealand, of myself and of the Prime Minister. So this was a happy moment. Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you very much for the opportunity to spend such a period of time with you, quality time as well. And I think the fact that we were able to speak with such shared enthusiasm, but also very openly and frankly around so many issues, speaks to the depth of that relationship. So I thank you for the warmth of which you received us. And as you say, as you speak very frankly, not every visitor necessarily receives that same level of warmth. So we appreciate that. The President mentioned that trade naturally was a significant part of our conversation. And in part, that's not because that is the only focus of our relationship. In fact, our relationship extends well beyond the economic, but because we are of such a shared view and of shared minds on so many other issues, that trade naturally is something that is current and therefore something we discussed quite extensively. I think what we're both aware of is that the pace at which the EU free trade agreement negotiations with New Zealand are moving in and of itself is unusual in terms of how quickly the number of meetings that have been held. The fact that the Commissioner with responsibility for agriculture will be visiting New Zealand next month means that things are moving at pace. Obviously, there is change afoot here. That has focused the minds, I think, of those involved on the EU side, and we share the ambition that has been expressed by the EU, by the President, and welcome that level of ambition. The President's right, we discussed also climate change, we discussed our region, the Pacific. The EU already is amongst the top 7 in terms of aid and development support within our region. And we discussed how, within the context particularly of climate change, we can continue to partner and work together as an institution and country with shared values and common interests. So overall, Mr. President, I thank you for your enthusiasm, your warmth. I very much enjoyed our dialogue, our exchange together, and your enthusiasm for our very proud nation of New Zealand.
Okay, I like the moment. I like New Zealand, although I was never there, but I have seen photos, I have seen movies, I have seen everything. But as the commissioners are traveling all the time instead of being here, Commissioner Hogan will go to New Zealand instead of having me going to New Zealand.
I pick up some jealousy.
Yeah. It's serious.
Yes.
I have a standing invitation from 170 countries.
Yes.
But New Zealand will be the first on the list after my mandate. You have to pay for it. Phil, please.
Thank you very much, President and Prime Minister. And just to, I suppose, add to your words of welcome to the Prime Minister and her team, the European Union stands ready to engage in a very serious negotiation in 2019, as President Juncker said. We have 3 full rounds of negotiations between now and July, which is unprecedented, the pace of our negotiations in this respect. This demonstrates our seriousness to try and conclude by the end of the mandate of this Commission. I look forward to visiting New Zealand and discussing in more detail many of the sensitive issues on both sides that we hopefully can come to an accommodation between now and the end of our mandate.
Okay.
Commissioner will prove that we have great things to do together.